Guys, we are getting so damn close. Welcome to part 7 of the Joust restore, where we're gonna wire this bad boy up and see if we can't get a game at least running on this thing. Maybe not playable, but at least hopefully we'll see something. I did some wiring that I'm kind of embarrassed to show you right now because it is atrocious. That's actually why I didn't record this thing, because I'm technically doing this all wrong. It is functional, however, and I will show you exactly what I mean. Oh, actually, before we start doing that, if you remember, I want to say it was the last video I talked about it. I had these like plastic cone, honeycomb looking things that went on the back of the cabinet that I need to replace. I actually found a decent replacement. It's not the same. I mean, the holes are bigger, but who gives a shit? It's just going in the back, and I just stapled it up. But actually, my wife had this, like, I don't know, I found this in the shed when I was getting ready to cut grass. I don't know what this is. She uses this for a garden. I guess it like keeps, like, I don't know, rabbits and badgers and tigers out of the garden. I don't know. But yeah, it's plastic. I just took the staple gun and just stapled on the other side. So now, I mean, it serves no purpose other than filling a hole. It looks a little bit better. Anyway, that's not what this video is about. This one is actually going to be all about wiring this son of a bitch up. And I already started with, ow, son of a bitch, that hurt. Oh, there's a lot of tension on the clamp. I started with the wiring of the power supply, getting the power from the wall to that, to the transformer, to the monitor. And the reason I didn't film is because, I mean, I'm kind of embarrassed to show you this right now. I just hacked it up, existing wires and shit that I just had laying around the garage. But real quick, I want to tell you what I did. High overview of what's going on. But I will show you this graphic right here, which is how you should do it. This is from Bob Roberts' website, where most people get their cap kits. And I hope they got a whole bunch, or he's got a whole bunch of parts. I think it's just one dude. You can't even actually order stuff on the website. You have to mail him a check and email him your order. I don't know. It's weird, but he's got a lot of obscure things that arcade enthusiasts need. So anyway, that's how you should wire it up, and I'll give you a link in the comments or the description. So go do that and follow that if you want to wire it. This one's kind of following that, but my wire, I didn't have the right connectors, and I'm using existing fuse block that I had out of the, actually I think that came out of this cabinet. And then the transformer came out of this red piece of shit cabinet. The power supply I had laying around for a racing game that I was going to fix up that I ended up fixing it, but I ended up not using the power supply. Anyway, so real quick, this is what's going on. We got this brown wire coming from the wall that goes, if you follow it through this mess that looks like a friggin' bomb, it actually terminates right through here. Ignore all the wires around it. It goes through this fuse right here. See this wire right here? And then this like outlet piggybacks too, so you can run like a light or whatever, so ignore that too. So brown wire goes through a fuse just in case the house gets struck by lightning. Everything won't explode, it should take out that fuse instead. And then the other half of the 2 wires coming out of this is going straight to this filter. What does it do? AC filter or something? The correct term of it is this thing that I'm putting in post-production because I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, filters current or some crap. I had it laying around. It was already wired up, so I just used it. So, power's coming from the wall, going through the fuse, leading to this, which does its job, whatever that is. And then the same voltage, 2 wires coming out of that, then go to, and this is really bad, hacked into the power cord that came with the power supply. And I literally just taped the wires to the metal prongs from the cord rather than cutting up the cord, because honestly I wasn't even sure it was going to work. if I cut it up. So I was like, let me try this. If it works, then I'll just leave it. So it worked. Don't do it, because it's not only is it ugly, it's just incorrect. So anyway, then that wire voltage is going through that to around this mess here to my power supply, which is where all of our voltage and currents and what have you are going out. So this is going to power the light, it's going to power the monitor, it's going to power the game board when we put that in, it's going to power everything. 5 volts, 12 volts, ground, anything. Actually, it all comes out of these things here. We'll get to that later. So anyway, then it goes from the power supply, which is the black wire, goes back into this. Another black wire comes out of it, which then terminates into the line, neutral, and ground, which is the same thing coming out of the brown from the wall. Ends up just going right back here again. Voltage from there goes around this white wire and into this isolation transformer, which is needed for your monitor. And they all come different shapes and sizes. Essentially, you have 2 wires going in, 2 wires coming out, and it kind of either steps it up or steps it down, the voltage. So this one, I believe, steps down so it doesn't fry the monitor. But usually you'll have this sticker tag that said, oh, that's the Spanish version. Isolation transformer must be used. And even if you don't have this, it's always a good idea to just put it on there. You're not gonna break anything if you step down voltage. It just might not power on all the way. Oh, what was I gonna say? Oh, and like newer monitors like LCDs, you don't need that crap. It's just for the old CRT stuff. So anyway, now we got power coming out of that, going out to these 2 wires, which then if you trace those up, it's a white and a purple, goes to this hacked up mess here, which is the 2 wires that power the monitor, which then gives us power here. So think of it like a water slide. You turn your faucet on, or just water plumbing in general, goes down the brown line, runs through the fuse, comes back out, goes through this filter box dealy thing, out of the box, all the way around to the power cable of the power supply. That cable leads to the power supply. Power supply has a cable coming out of that, which then leads to this white wire, which goes all the way down through the isolation transformer, out the purple and the white wire, all the way back up, and then back to the monitor. So it's a lot of things daisy chaining off each other. And then this hacked together mess, you'll see this yellow speaker wire. Actually, it's just a thick gauge wire I had from when I wired up a subwoofer years ago, when that was a cool thing to do. I tapped into the power, the wire coming out of the wall, which then goes to this switch up here. So I can turn, essentially it just breaks the current going from the wall, and then when you flip the switch it connects it again, which then turns everything on, rather than turning on the power all the way down here. So if you can't tell, I know jack shit about electrical work. I know the basics. I know how to get this to work. Hopefully this doesn't set my garage on fire. And yeah, so that's why I didn't film it, and I just spent a lot of time explaining why this thing sucks, and I'm probably not doing myself anything good. Anyway, so it's powered up. That's the important part. And the monitor works. Light works. Everything, I mean, well, you can see we got some burn going on from the old shitty football game, but whatever, hopefully you won't see that. So now that's done, and if you have questions on it, I mean, I can walk you through it if you'd like, but there's way better videos on YouTube and resources online. So I mean, it's just hideous, so please don't bust my balls on it. Anyway, so what's next? Now we gotta actually put the game in, and I'm probably gonna piss off some more people because I'm not putting an original Joust board in there. I'm actually putting this 19-in-1 game board, which is like the size of an NES cartridge, that has Joust on it. And it runs off the Jamma standard, which is also not original to Joust. Which means we gotta put this bad boy on. And let me focus a little bit more on the closer side of things. So yeah, we gotta put this in there, which then the power supply hooks up to this, and voltage goes to a few of these things to power up the board. So anyway, why am I not using an original Joust board? One obvious reason is because they are incredibly difficult to find, and if you do find them, they are expensive as balls. Probably more expensive than I paid for most of my games over here. And number two, the emulated version on this board actually, I've read, plays really well. Like pretty damn close to the original, which is cool. And it's probably going to be more stable than the original board because there's less components and they're updated components, so they're not going to like fry or melt or leak or whatever they do. And what else? Oh yeah, price is the main one. This was like 50 bucks. Yeah, and Jamma's pretty easy to wire too. I'll show you how to do that. Also, I'm not too worried about putting in a fake game board, if you will. Reproduction board, because, I mean, everything we've done on this game is reproduction. The only thing that is original on this entire cabinet is the cabinet itself and the coin door, really. The control panel is original to some, but it's not an original Joust control panel that I learned last time, because I heard the original one was actually made of wood. The joysticks are reproduction, the buttons are reproduction, the bezel, I almost said marquee. The marquee is reproduction. The art is re-stenciled on, and the colors aren't exactly the same as the original. Power supply is new, not original. Monitor's original, but I don't think it's original to Joust. T-molding is new, so we're upgrading everything, right? We're just making it look like the original. So the fact that I'm putting in a newer game board doesn't upset me a whole lot. Now, that being said, if I ever do find an original Joust game board for something that's in my price range, I'm definitely going to put it inside this thing, because I get it. It's way cool to have the original stuff. Anyway, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to Jammatize this cabinet. And even if we Jammatize it, we can always make an adapter to fit an original board if we find one. So, enough rambling. That was like 8 minutes of rambling. Let's actually get to work. So, step one, wire this bitch up for Jamma. The bad mama Jamma. So, I'm gonna go ahead and turn this off. Power supply turns off, the fan stopped, net glow stopped. And I'm still gonna unplug it just in case, because my wiring is atrocious. And, I don't know. Not that I don't trust what I just did, but I know it's not correct. But it works. Okay, so we got our Jamma, our Mama Jamma, Chinese. I guess it's Chinese. I don't know. I don't speak Mandarin or whatever dialect of Chinese, Japanese. A little bit of Spanish, however, not very well. Anyway, so this thing has a standard pinout, which is this pinout right here. And there's going to be a link in the description. You can just Google image Jamma pinout. Anyway, so we take that pinout and apply it to, oh, did I already break it? No. What is this? I don't know. This came with it. I have no idea what that goes to. Hopefully this thing's not a piece of crap. It is made in China, so take it for what it's worth. I think this thing was only like 10 bucks, so probably not very good quality. I've used these things before in the past without issues, but I feel like you get what you pay for in some regard. The wiring gauge is not very thick. Jesus, look how tangled mess this is. So yeah, definitely make sure you have zip ties when you go to clean this up. Anyway, so the Jamma pinout. What you're going to want to do is essentially you're just going to map these wires to where they, where they map to on the game board, which is through the Jamma pinout. So for instance, and they're color coded to the standard as well. Don't quote me there. There might be some weird Jamma boards or Jamma harnesses that aren't color coordinated. But generally, like black will be your ground, and you'll have another ground up here. Yellow or red is your 5 volts. Actually, you know what? It says 5 volts in here. It's the only English character on here. 5 volts. Then you have your -5, your 12, your key, which is not used. I don't know. You got start buttons up, down, left, right. Button 1, button 2, button 3. They might stop there. So all you do is you just trace the wire, find the color, find the correct number or letter, depending which side you're going on, and then plug that into the opposing end to the power supply, and then this will go on your board. So on the Jamma connector, you have a part side and you have a solder side. And what that means is you take your board and, this has a VGA out too. So worst case the monitor doesn't work, we can VGA out. Anyway, so you have your part side, which is your parts, your component parts, and your solder side, which is where your solder is. So, and the way to know which side's which, that key that I mentioned, this chunk here that has nothing written on it, is unused. That key goes with this slot right here. So when you plug it in, oh man, that's tight. Those don't get used. And then, yeah. So that would just plug in and sit inside your cabinet somewhere. And then these would run to their appropriate ports, buttons, what have you. So let's hook this mofo up. Actually, you know what? So we're not confused. Let's write down what part side and what's solder side, since we don't speak Chinese. So, got my marker. So we're going to say this is the part side. And I'm just going to take my Sharpie. And really I'm just going to color it. I just need an indicator. So, part side. And the reason I'm doing that is because if you flip it upside down, you're going to have voltages going where you don't want them to go. And you could break something, fry your board. All of the above. So, pin out. We're actually going to hook up the voltages. So, we need to tie this to the power supply, which is that boxy thing down there. And you see there's 3 connectors here. We're actually going to tie directly into those. So I'm actually probably going to cut those off and twist the wires into it because I don't have the right Molex connectors. So, alright, the first one, which is the black, is our ground. Actually, that purple one's a ground too. I don't know why it's purple. Oh. Because it's jumping, that's what it's doing. Alright, so yeah, you just want the black. Alright, so I did some unraveling, if you will. And I pulled out the power wires. So this is what these wires are going to take the current coming from your power supply and run them to your board, your controls, whatever needs voltage. So you're going to tie your black wire to your ground on your power supply. Your red is going to be your +5. Your blue, and so this is your -5. A lot of games actually don't require this one. I want to say a lot of Sega games do. Mortal Kombat, I want to say it does. Anyway, just you can check your manual to see if you actually need it. If you hook it up and you're not using it, it's not a huge deal. You're just not using it. And then your yellow is going to be your plus 12 voltage. So yeah, so you're going to hook all 3, 4 of these to your power supply. We're going to use, and I think these are the same colors. So actually we have 3 connectors coming out of the power supply. This is an ATX style power supply. Kind of like what's inside of a computer. You don't have to use this style power supply. There's some that there's some power supplies that are rectangles that you then would just unscrew the terminals and then stick your endpoints right there. That's actually what this Jamma harness is made for. We're going to kind of hack into this just like we hacked into the rest of them. So again, this probably isn't the correct way to do things, but it's going to work. So I just want to make sure my colors are the right side. And the sticker on top actually tells you what the voltages are. Red is your plus 5, which I think is what it said on this. Red is plus 5. Black is your ground, that's the same. Yellow is plus 12, yellow is plus 12. Blue is negative 12 on here. That's interesting. Negative 12? Yeah. So the negative 5 on the power supply is white, but the negative 5 on the Jamma connector is blue. So don't get those confused. You just want to make sure these map to this thing. And these 2 connectors are actually the same thing. I don't know why you need 2. There might be a reason. And this goes to, I think this is for like a remote switch. Anyway, I ended up not using it. So we're going to use one of these connectors. Let's use this one. It's being not a less pain in the ass than the other one is. Oh, what did I do with those wires? That's not it. That's not it. Here we go. So, double check. We'll do red, which is my plus 5. We're going to plug this into the red on this thing. And you know what? I'm actually going to strip this back. I actually like these little forked prongs too. They're perfect for the other type of... I actually wish I had the other style power supply. I probably wouldn't have to hack into it as much as I'm doing now. And just strip your wire back. Expose the wire. Okay, so you strip your wires back, and then we're just going to twist them together. And the gauge on the power supply is way thicker than the thing on the cheap Chinese power supply. I mean, Jamma harness. Alright, there's that. And I probably should solder it, but you know what? Since I'm doing this whole thing incorrectly anyway, I'm just gonna electrical tape over it. And it'll be fine. Relax, guys. Okay, plus 5 is done. What else we got? Let's do plus 12, which is the thick yellow wire, which I lost again. You know what? I think I'm going to keep this one, this prong on, and kind of wrap around the yellow one here. Oh, yellow is plus 12. And I left that. Oh, now I have to tape. I left that prong on there because the wire is so flimsy coming off the Jamma harness, just to give it a little extra something to cling on to when I twist it. Alright, let me go get some more tape. And we got blue and black left. What the hell is going on with this? Dude, there's so much like tangled mess bullshit going on. Oh my god. Son of a bitch. Blues are -5, which goes to white. And black goes to black. Alright. So we got our power hooked up. And you know what? I think we should test the board out to see if we get any picture. So we're not going to put up the controls just yet. We're going to take this chunk that's hanging off of the Jamma board, which is actually your video signal harness connector, whatever you want to call it. So anyway, your red would go to your red color, green goes to green, blue goes to blue, black is your ground, and then white is your horizontal sync, I believe. So anyway, this connects directly to your monitor. So the game plugs into the Jamma harness. The video signals come out of the game board into these wires, which then this connects to your monitor, which then shows it up so you can actually see what you're playing. So we have the power wired up. If we put this in and just plug the game in, we won't be able to play the game, but we can actually see it on screen, hopefully. So I think that's the first test, and then we can figure out what we need to do with the monitor, if we need to rejuve the tube or switch out some capacitors on the chassis, or if it's even just a done deal, it will just friggin' use the VGI out on the 19-in-1 board. So this actually, I'm gonna run up. Let's see. Hopefully it'll just plug directly in, and it doesn't. Story of my life. But you know what? I think I had the original game wiring harness from the shitty football game that was in there. So let me try to see if I can dig that up, and then we'll just, hey, you know, we're gonna do another hack wire job. That's stupid. Okay, so I found the stupid ass wiring harness. Yeah, I mean, look at this. This is also atrocious. So I was gonna hold on to this to kind of, if I ever sold the football board, if anybody wanted a stupid 10-yard fight board. I still have the board if anybody wants to just hit me up. But I was gonna sell it with the harness, and kind of that way if you didn't have what you needed, you could just use this. But it looks like I'm gonna have to steal this piece off the harness just so I can get the thing to work, because the monitor expects a connector like this, and the Jamma harness that I got has a stupid connector like this. So I need to take these, I almost said these and this at the same time, cut these off and then map them to this thing. So what's the easiest way to do this? I guess we'll just hack it off right here and just kind of twist them together. Alright, so, and it looks like, I mean, process of illumination, we got red, green, goes to green, and then brown, like, I'm assuming that's the blue, there's no brown friggin' color. And then black goes to black, and then white to white. So yeah, it's still the same. I mean, if those aren't the right colors, I mean, that's just Stupid. So I'm gonna snip this off right here. Throw this wiring harness. I mean, the wiring harness is still good, even though I chopped that off, but I'm never gonna use it. So throw that off to the side. Now we're gonna cut this off. This is actually not the first time I've had to cut these things off. I've never found a friggin' game that actually uses this. This must be some like weird standard that doesn't exist here. I mean, you can hack it together even more if you want by like chopping out or taking a Dremel to this, but screw it. We'll just snip it. Get your wire strippers out. And we will make a Frankenstein wiring harness. Oh, we got enough electrical tape. Ow! Careful not to stab yourself with a stupid ass wire. Damn it. Okay. Now, we're going to take this thing that we stripped off and twist together the corresponding colors. So, green to green, red to red, black to black, white to white, and brown to blue. Stupid. Alright, so I finished hacking this piece of crap together. Twist all your colors together. Now we're left with this stupid looking thing. Now we gotta plug this into the monitor chassis. Oh, tripod, why you suck so bad? And I'm not quite sure how this goes. 1, 2, 3. Actually, yes I am. You know why? Because I'm using process of elimination. So this thing right here, this like white thing with a prong sticking out, that's where we're going. And if you noticed, let me zoom in on it. See how it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then there's a space, and then there's 3 prongs in the back? Well, if you look at this guy, where you at? There's 1, 2, 3 in the back, which is your ground and your sink. So I'm going to assume that those 3 go to that back, because it wouldn't make sense for the first. Well, I don't know, because that's 3 too. See, I'm breaking my own logic now. Whatever, we got a 50-50 chance of putting this in, right? Let's see what happens. Wait a minute, no we don't. Kind of dumb. There's it only goes in one way. Jesus Christ. Let me plug this in real quick and I'll show you what I'm doing. Hey, you know what? I'm an even bigger genius. It friggin' tells you right here. Red, green, blue, ground. Positive sync. Horizontal sync, vertical sync. So yeah, just look around and that's on the side of the monitor. Right next to everything. There's a big ass sticker. So we don't have to guess. Anyway. Thing is plugged in right there. Right there. According to this diagram right here. So yeah, red, green, blue in the front, ground, and your sink in the back, which is the way it is. So now we have a wired mess. But we have power wired up. We have the Jamma video video signal wired up. So right now we actually have enough to get a game going, at least visible on the screen. So what I'm going to do is plug the game in, have it dangle there like a jackass, and see if we get anything on the monitor to see what kind of work we need to do on the monitor. Before you turn it on, what you want to do is you want to check your voltage coming out of your power supply and make sure it's not too much going to the game. Like you don't want it to, your +5 to output it like +30 and then just fry the board. So check that before you do anything. I checked this before I put it in when I did the first hack wire job. So let's plug the game in and turn it on and see what happens. Alright, got my game board. Got my parts, my key, part side facing me. Now, what we won't have is audio because we didn't put the speakers on yet. Alright, let's see what happens, guys. I'm gonna flip the switch. You know what? Nothing happened because I didn't plug the effing game in. Oh, I'm a genius. All right. And we have some lights going on the board, which means we have power going. Let me zoom in on that. There is power going to the board. That's a good sign, I believe. It's not red. Red means bad, right? So let's see what we're working with on the actual monitor. And you can't see shit. There's actually stuff going on at the top. And it looks like it's loading games. But it's out of focus. So we need to do some adjustments on the back of the monitor. First thing I'm going to do is touch the screen, which is essentially your brightness. It's one of the two on the... Why can't I think of parts when I need to think of them? Flyback. And so that's already doing a little bit better. Let me, I'm going to put the tripod back a little bit. And you guys are going to see what I'm doing as I'm doing it. Oh, so actually, yeah, there's stuff going on. The monitor's working, which is good. I just don't know how well it's going to be working. So, adjust the focus a little bit, too much. Yeah, there we go. Now we're starting to see some stuff. Oh, it's hard to talk. It's way ugly, but it's working. Ow. Yeah, that's a little too dark for my liking. And you can see the image is cut off at the top. But I can tell you right now, the tube is not messed up. I think. Because we're getting all the appropriate colors going through, I think that we should be good in that regard. Let's see, vertical hold, vertical raster, horizontal shifter, vertical size, what do you? Horizontal. Let's adjust the vertical shift a little bit. That looks better already. Let me kill the lights. I think there's a big ass glare on it. You can't see shit. So, we have graphics, guys. This is getting more and more exciting. Actually, the colors look alright on this thing. There's some lines at the top. I don't know what the hell that's about. I'm assuming that's a capacitor issue. But, yeah, this is way better than what it used to look like on when the football game was loaded on here. Ooh, it just flashed. I hope that's not a reoccurring thing. So right now, so this is a 12 and 1, 19 and 1. And they kind of try to make it like a multi-Williams board. A lot of these games are Williams, which is cool because Joust is Williams. It's got some other games on it, like Mario Brothers isn't Williams. Anyway, they're trying to make like a multi-Williams-esque type board. And what's going on right now is it's playing the attract mode for each of those games. And it'll show you like a little demo. There's probably sound going on too, but I don't have the speakers hooked up. So it's walking through each one, then you'd select the game, and then it goes back to the main menu, like that. And actually the next one up, it should demo Joust, which is actually what I was waiting for, which is cool because it's only 4th game in. So what we're gonna end up doing is probably disabling all these games except for Joust, and when you do that, only Joust loads up. So when you turn the game on, it'll look just like this, which is what Joust looks like. And dude, this is awesome. That doesn't look normal. I think, damn it. So as soon as Joust loads, we get color issues. Story of my life, right guys? Oh, it went back. I don't know what that is. Maybe another capacitor issue. It could be, oh, who knows. I just hope it's not reoccurring. But now it looks normal again. For the most part. But that's Joust. I can't wait to actually get this thing up and running so we can play it. Hope we can play it before it craps out and then figure out what the issue is with the colors. So it's going through like the instructions. Welcome to Joust. Pick up the eggs before they hatch. And of course it goes back to the main screen. So that's what's going on. It's going to go through all these games. This is only page 104. Robotron's another Williams game that I wish I could play on this, but we're only wired for one button, and a lot of these games actually require multiple buttons. Mario Brothers would work on this, but I don't know if I feel like playing Mario Brothers on a Joust cabinet. So yeah, you know what? Maybe one day they make reproduction multi-Williams overlays, and I can actually get a reproduction metal Williams control panel. So at some point, maybe I'll upgrade, put a multi-Williams in here. But for now, we're going to stick with the Joust restore. And the colors came back. And there it goes again. So that, I don't know what's going on, why it's all blue. But you know what this reminds me of? The friggin' Zybots game where it just went red randomly. Same thing's going on with this biatch. So, I don't know what it is. But it might go away. It's not, it's gonna, I'm sure it's gonna come back. Anyway, so we gotta figure that issue. So, small victory for the night. I'm gonna probably call it quits right now and go to bed because it's late as balls. But we'll pick up tomorrow and we'll actually wire up. It's wigging me out, man. We'll wire up the rest of the controls. Get a game going, probably. Even though the graphics look like garbage. And so yeah, okay, so I'll be back. Alright, see you guys.